Welcome to this Wellness Wednesday session on stress. And this is a really in-depth topic that we could probably talk 2 hours about. But we're just going to give it a more of an overview tonight. We're going to do a bit of a deeper dive into the negative effects of stress and just also give some tips on how to support your body, how to reduce the impact of stress on yourself, and how to help your bodies, how to help you support your body's ability to respond to stress. So there's a lot of different reasons why people are feeling stress. There's so many different things that people are dealing with, and there's a lot of uncertainties in this past year in the way that maybe we used to go out and have our release or our stress relief. Maybe those ways that we used to help our body, release our stress, we're not able to do that anymore. So we're all trying to shift and find new ways to deal with stress. And so I hope tonight gives you some great tips and some useful information on how to deal with the stress in your life. Now, first of all, there's a lot of negative impact that stress has on your body. Maybe you've heard that saying that stress kills. And it really can do a lot of damaging effects on your body. It can have a lot of damaging effects. Your hair can become more brittle and dull. You can have, nail issues. Diarrhea, constipation, indigestion. The one thing about when you're stressed, your body actually will slow down or shut down your digestive system. So the energy is going to help you go towards the flight response and not so much the digesting response. So you're going to, when you are really stressed, we really suggest that you either eat very easy to digest foods or make sure that you're really supporting your digestion very well. So that's very important. When you're stressed, be careful with what you eat. Your reproductive system is impacted definitely, and Martha's going to talk more about that later as well. You have decreased immune function. You'll have higher inflammatory response. Your joints and muscles, cardiovascular, your brain, you'll have anxiety, foggy thinking. So many things are impacted by stress. So one thing that I always like to talk about is, we don't just talk about the effects of, here, take this pill and we'll fix stress. That's not it at all. It's very comprehensive. Health is not about just, one thing. Martha Wilmore always talked about the spokes on a wheel. And there's a lot of different things, a lot of different factors that play into a holistic approach to health and wellness. And so what I always talk about when we're talking about stress is there's 3 areas that are really wise to look at. So tonight we're going to focus on more the physical side of it, but keep in mind there's other areas to look at as well. One of them is emotional. And this is where sometimes even just going to talk to somebody is wise. Pick up the phone, talk to a friend, talk to a counselor, talk to somebody. Emotional, how are you viewing your world? How are you interpreting things? Can you filter things differently so that you're seeing them in a different light? Perspective, right? Perspective is everything. So you can see the glass half full or half empty. So it's very important to have a different perspective at times and maybe ask somebody to help you find a different perspective. Spiritual, are you taking the world on your own? Do you take the time to refresh? We talk about bookends. How do you start and finish your day? That really impacts what happens through the day. Do you pray? Do you take mental breaks? This is often neglected, but it's a really big part of overall wellness. And then physical is what we're going to focus on tonight. So what's going on in your environment that's causing stress on you or your body? Can you change these things? Sometimes we have to step out of a situation if it's like a physical thing. But also, are you supporting your body so it can work properly and so you have a stronger stress response? And that's what we're going to deal with tonight. So now we talked about adrenal fatigue, and if you want more information, more in-depth information on adrenal fatigue, please, you can ask for that and we can send you that information. But these are things right here. These are lifestyle things that really impact your body's ability to respond to stress. So if you eat a lot of sugar and white flour, if you have repeated stress, poor eating habits, a lot of caffeine or too little or too much exercise, these are all things that can really stress out your adrenals. And we'll find out later how much that impacts your ability to respond to stress. So just a few quick tips here, a stress support lifestyle. Very important when you are dealing with a lot of stress, not to reach for the sweets and the alcohol. The highs and lows from eating too much of those type of foods can really exhaust your adrenal glands, which again are very important in your stress response. Don't eat when you're stressed. We talked about that already, but your digestion slows right down then. Cut out the excessive caffeine, choose natural, safe supports instead, like energizing tea, B-complex, your Life Shake, and Core Energy. Those are all very great things to help support a good stress response and natural energy. Eat more protein. Protein-rich foods really help support your ability to have a good stress response as well. And we'll talk about that more. Eat a little and often. So just grazing, giving your adrenal glands, giving them a steady supply of nutrients and protein will just keep them humming. So it's a really good thing just to eat, just to kind of graze throughout your day. And also breathe and walk and be intentional about who and what gets your focus and your time. So prioritize. Nutritional deficiencies are always involved with adrenal fatigue, which will make you stressed and tired. So there's two principles I want to talk about here really quickly. Health principle number one. This is really important. And I see a lot of people who come to me and they have, a whole bunch of different nutrients they're taking and a little bit of each one, a bit of this and a bit of that and a bit of that. And oh, and I thought this was a good thing, so I added this to my program, and they're taking all kinds of things, but they're not taking enough of the important nutrients to actually help them get over deficiencies. So number one, a big key to getting balanced is to take the right supplements, eat the right foods. Supplementing is very important because we just aren't getting the nutrients that we used to get from our foods. And I don't know many people that eat according to the Canada Food Guide anyways. And the Canada Food Guide is just to help us prevent deficiencies, never mind building optimal health. So supplementing is very wise. And then health principle number two refers back to the amount that we need. So if you want to maintain your current level of health, right, just the minimums usually will help maintain or slow down the slide down. But if you want to build and repair, sometimes you need up to 6 or 7 times the normal amount of nutrition. Now, not calories. You don't need 6 to 7 times the normal amount of calories. You need the 6 to 7 times the normal amount of nutrients to help build and repair and to overcome deficiencies. So don't think that you can come at your health issues and take, a multiple vitamin and that's going to be enough. If you have big health issues, if you have big concerns, please be aware that sometimes you might need to take a little more. So nutrients for a stronger stress response, the top 3, my top favorite 3 ones for a better stress response, just again, supporting that adrenal gland, which again, Martha's going to talk more about. One of them, very important, is protein. The second very important one is B-complex. And the other one is just having that smorgasbord of all the nutrients. So either your multiple or your multiple strip. Those are the most important nutrients to start with. That's your base. If you have white spots in your nails, make sure you're adding zinc to your program because it's very important for your glandular health. And again, your adrenal gland is key for helping your stress response. Vitamin C is very important as well. Vitamin D and your fish oils, your good fats, those are really important ones to add if you have a very poor stress response, if your mood is low, if you have hormonal issues. Those are just really important things to add as well. Now, if you are having panic attacks, or if you are having really tight muscles, if you're having anxiety, if your stress your stress response is happening where you just can't seem to loosen up again, and you're just like getting into that tight panic attack mode, try adding VitalMag to your program. Magnesium will help to relax things. And I know, this is a personal thing, but for me, I was at a point where I was having panic attacks. And so I had to do all of these things, and I had to take extra magnesium, the VitalMag, and that helped to stop my muscle twitches that I was having, and also helped me just to calm down and relax a lot better. So now, There's two therapeutic things. One of them is core energy, and it helps to repair your adrenal glands. So that's a really important thing. But one that we're going to talk about particularly tonight is that stress relief complex. And that's a really amazing little product. So now, how much protein do we need on a daily basis? And the reason we're going to talk about this one is because so many people are protein deficient, or they're getting the wrong types of protein. So the average, I say to people, is normally around 80 grams a day, maybe 90, but the average I say is around 80 or so. And a lot of people aren't getting that. So that's why we always really encourage looking at what are the protein-rich foods, making sure that you are getting enough of them every day, but also enough of the complete proteins. So it's really hard to get enough complete proteins in a day though, and that's why we say this is a really great base, because by using this shake daily, you're getting easy to digest protein, 20 grams of it, very low calories. It's gluten-free and dairy-free. It's just so easy for your body to absorb and use. And it's all the complete aminos that your body needs. So it's the complete base that your body needs. It's the raw materials that you need to make every single cell, enzyme, hormone, antibody, everything. So without enough of this, you can try to stimulate your body. You can try to force it to do things. You can take stimulatory products or remedies. But if you don't have the raw materials that your body needs to actually make the healthy cells, you're just basically beating a tired horse. You need to make sure you have the raw materials in place so your body has what it needs to make everything else. So this is one of those foundational, very important parts of a healthy program. So if you want to repair your stress response, enough easy to digest protein is a really smart place to start. Now, one thing I just want to touch on here is something that's what I call a beyond the label difference. There's so many proteins out there that you can choose from. And I'm sure there's a lot of other good proteins out there. The reason I chose this one for our use and to recommend to others is because they water wash. Now, that's not something you're going to see on the label. It's only something you find when you research brands, when you call companies and ask questions. But the difference here with this one is that some proteins are alcohol washed, which removes beneficial isoflavones. In this case, it's ginseng and daidzein, and they help for bone density, hormone balancing, and anti-cancer properties. So you want those in your protein. If you use alcohol to wash your protein out, it's going to remove them. And also you'll have a cross-contamination with those chemicals. You don't want that either. This is water washed. Shaklee's always water wash their protein to make sure that all the beneficial components of the protein are active and available to you. It's not something that your taste buds will notice the difference of, but your cells will know the difference. So that's why we've chosen this one to work with. And then also Vitalizer. So we mentioned Vitalizer as being one of those things that help fill the nutrient gaps. So this is just a very simple strip you can take every day to help you fill those daily nutrient gaps so you can fuel your body in a very convenient way. B vitamins, again, very important for the immune system. They help to increase energy. They help you get more energy from your foods, actually. Helps you break down carbs, fats, and proteins more efficiently. It'll enhance your mood, improve your memory, it boosts skin and hair health, but it really helps a lot for that stress response. So, I mean, some people these days, they're taking extra B vitamins like breakfast, lunch, and 3 p.m. And they're just taking them throughout the day. And they just keep that bottle with them because it's water soluble. So it doesn't store up in your body. As soon as you have a stressful moment, boom, you've just used up your B vitamins. So you got to keep replenishing that. And unless you're going to eat a lot of really, a lot of high B-rich foods, which is almost impossible to get enough of, you're going to be depleted quickly. So really make sure that you have enough of your Bs. One thing that's also important to know is that you're getting your Bs in the right formula. So don't take a B50 or B100 or isolated Bs like a B12. Bs are a family of 8, a complete family of 8. You want to make sure you have all of them in the right ratio for how the bowel absorbs it best. Now, the Shaklee brand researched this. They found out the right ratio for best absorption in the bowel. That's how they are in their supplement, all 8 of them, with a patented folic acid coating, so you get the best delivery. So this is essential for supporting stress response and energy. But if you're going to take a B, make sure it's one that has all 8 in the family in the right balance. So I'm going to actually turn it over to Martha now. So she's going to do a deeper dive for us into ashwagandha and the adrenal glands. But I hope what I shared just helps give you a little foundation, some tips on how to get started on healing your stress response. I have to give a quick shout out here to Stress Relief. I am known to be that person who went up on stage. I had to speak in front of, I think it was 8 or 10,000 people. I don't know how many people were there anymore, but within probably an hour, I took 8 Stress Relief because I was so nervous. And so I went on stage, did my thing. When I came off stage, I was so chill and relaxed. It didn't make me drowsy, made me very focused. Normally only need 1, but I mean, this was a big deal. So I took a lot. So it doesn't have any harmful side effects, no negative effects at all. But what it really does, I love it because it really takes the edge off of stress. And I went through a lot of stressful events in my life. And this was always right in my purse, right with me, because as soon as I would start feeling overwhelmed or I start feeling that stress, I had higher cortisol going through my body, I immediately would take one of these. And I really think it's helped me just to stave off some of those negative impacts that stress could have had. So Martha, we would love to hear a little bit more from you. Just please share with us a little bit more about this wonderful stress relief complex and our adrenal glands as well.
Okay, well, thank you, Julie. That was very, very interesting, very well done. Okay, for some reason, my slides are not changing when I attempt to.
Do you want me to move it forward one?
Yes, please. Okay, so Julie has already mentioned our adrenal glands, and you can see where they sit. We have 2 of them, and they sit on top of our kidneys. And we certainly don't want them to become exhausted because we want them to serve us our entire life. And for women in particular, I always mention our adrenal glands take on a new job when we go through menopause. And so they take on new responsibilities. They make some of our sex hormones for us that they did not make prior to menopause. And so if we have exhausted our adrenal glands, they don't want to function for us when we really want them to function. And so do take care of your adrenals. So our adrenal glands make adrenaline. And so when we wake up in the morning and start to work through our day, we should be making a normal amount of adrenaline. Of course, sometimes things happen and we make a little bit more, other days a little bit less, but it's normal for our adrenal glands to make a normal amount of adrenaline through the day. And when we get stressed or anxious or maybe overextended, or maybe we had a really poor night's sleep, and so we're kind of really pushing ourselves all day, that's when we make higher levels of adrenaline. So obviously that's taxing the adrenal glands a little bit more. And so we want to always have as much balance in our life as we can, and some stress breaks and that sort of a thing. Now, every night when we sleep, when we get good quality sleep, we are supposed to be creating something called cortisone. And of course, you all know that if somebody has a part of their body, maybe a rash or something that is not healing well, you sometimes go to a doctor and they give you cortisone. And I always say, why isn't your body making enough? So we make it when we're sleeping to help to repair the wear and tear from the day. And so quality sleep, deep level sleep is very, very important. Now, what happens if you don't sleep well? Well, the reality is you wake up tired the next morning. However, your adrenal glands did not have the opportunity when you're in a deep sleep to make as much cortisone to help to heal the wear and tear of the day. And so therefore, if this is ongoing, if a person is struggling with sleeping well and it becomes a chronic problem, obviously the adrenals will be exhausted and damaged. And so we don't want that to happen. Okay, so here we see what happens. What if we have normal adrenaline, high levels of adrenaline, but it just keeps getting worse and extended? So what happens is the adrenal glands then start to make a hormone called cortisol. Now that is not a good hormone to be producing because of the damage that it makes in our body. If you want to just next slide, Julie. Okay, so when cortisol is produced, and as I said, it was a hormone, and when that's released into the bloodstream from the adrenal glands, it is like a fire moving through the body everywhere your blood flows, doing damage to every cell that it comes in contact with. And that is why stress is called the #1 killer, is because when we are experiencing stress and our body is creating this cortisol, it really can do damage anywhere in the body, in all of the systems of the body, wherever it travels. Now, the bad news is, as well, what happens when we are producing a lot of cortisol due to stress. #1, it increases cravings for sweets and carbs. And so that's where a lot of people do stress eating. And of course, then that affects our weight. And then that, there's this spiral of the problem, right? But it also, high cortisol breaks down muscle for energy, and therefore we have less muscle, and it's in our muscles where we burn calories. And so that, of course, can be a problem to shrink in your muscle size. You won't have the strength, and then secondarily, you of course won't have the same amount of energy. And then you've always been told that stress can give you a spare tire around the middle. And so ongoing stress can increase abdominal fat storage. And of course, none of us want that, regardless of whether we're male or female. So that's good motivation to try to manage our stress in a healthy manner. Now, it also affects our hormones big time. So if a woman is in the menstrual phase of life, we always need to have the proper balance between hormones. And so the balance between estrogen and estrogens, because there's more than one, but estrogens and progesterone is very, very important. Now, when we are stressed, we make more cortisol from the adrenals, which gobbles up the progesterone and leaves us with what we call estrogen dominance. And estrogen dominance can cause a lot of problems. We'll look at a list in a moment. Now, that the perimenopause and menopause, here you see where your adrenal glands are now responsible to make a lot of the hormones that the ovaries used to make. And the same thing occurs. If we are very stressed, we make too much cortisol. The cortisol gobbles up our progesterone and leaves us estrogen dominant. So let's look at some of the symptoms from estrogen dominance. You can see here a lot of problems. Acceleration of the aging process, breast, uterine, or ovarian cancer, the increased risk there, decreased sex drive, gallbladder disease, hypoglycemia, increased blood clotting risk, irritability, foggy thinking, memory loss, loss of bone density, thyroid dysfunction, of course, fat where we don't want it, depression, fatigue, insomnia, headaches, hair loss, joint swelling, uterine fibroids, water retention, and autoimmune disorders. And so estrogen dominance is a real curse to the human body. So it's very important for us throughout all of our lives to realize that excessive adrenaline or cortisol is going to create lots of hormone imbalances that can create mega problems in women, but also in men. So men don't experience many of the problems that we listed earlier that are more female related. However, estrogen dominance can create prostate cancer, breast cancer with men, and all kinds of other problems as well. So both of us need to really learn how to support the body and practice good stress management. We don't want that cortisol to be doing damage. Okay, so let's move on. So Julie talked about stress relief complex, and this is an herb, and it's actually the ashwagandha plant, but it's the root that is a wonderful natural remedy. And it's a non-drowsy stress support that you can safely take every day, any time of the day. It actually is a good time to take it is at bedtime, because it often has helped people fall into a more restful sleep. And yes, it contains ashwagandha, but it also helps. It also has some other ingredients that we're going to talk about, but it really helps the body to adapt to heightened stress. And of course, everybody has stress. It's just some of us have too much of it and too often, right? So ashwagandha, along with a couple of the other ingredients in it, really can make a difference quite quickly. So within 20 to 30 minutes, you can feel more calm, more relaxed, and yet you're not feeling dopey like sometimes some pharmaceuticals can cause you to feel. So what else is in it besides ashwagandha? Well, here's where we see the 4 ingredients. So there's actually 100 milligrams of ashwagandha, and the way it really works is it blocks that cortisol level, which is really what we want to do. It helps to overcome insomnia, so that's why it's good to use it at bedtime. It enhances our alertness, our memory, the retention of details, and it increases learning ability. And then there's a couple of amino acids, 100 milligrams each of L-theanine and L-tyrosine. So L-theanine makes you feel relaxed, alert, and focused, and it actually stimulates the alpha production in the brain. And those are certain brain waves that help you to relax. And so if you've studied anything about the different brain waves, you know that you want to be an alpha all day long when you're trying to work and remember and be focused, etc. And then L-tyrosine, it helps to reduce anxiety by increasing one of the hormones that Julie pointed out earlier, norepinephrine, that actually elevates your mood. And then beta-sitosterol is actually a plant sterol, which helps to block cortisol produced by stress. So that's the ingredients in stress relief. So Shaklee did some testing with it where they worked with a placebo, and so they divided people into groups, people that were using the stress relief and people that were using a placebo, and they didn't know which group that they were in. And you can see here by this chart that the benefit from being more relaxed, more alert, less tense, and better concentration that was experienced by the people who were using stress relief, and it was very significant. This next slide just points out some of the details. This was tested in a 7-day, double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical test, and there were 29 participants, and that was the results that was demonstrated, and they, like I say, very significant results. Okay, so I want to let you in on a secret. So if you are a parent or a grandparent, you might like to know that many moms or grandmoms have found it very beneficial with hyperactive kids. In fact, some parents actually nickname Stress Relief Complex Nature's Ritalin, because it really does increase the alpha waves in the brain. It really does help to calm. It really does help to block the cortisol. And parents can be so very happy to use something that is so much more natural with none of the side effects of some of the pharmaceuticals that are used for hyperactivity. So that's a great thing to know, and it's very safe. If a person is experiencing really severe issues. They can use it liberally. You're not limited to 1 a day or 2 a day. It can be used liberally and without any side effects whatsoever. And let's see, I think, Julie, you're going to take it from there.
Thank you so much, Martha. That was a lot of great information. I know just having that stress relief in my purse has definitely changed my brain waves a lot through the years. So it's a really handy thing to keep on hand. Now, you've heard us refer to the Shaklee brand, and perhaps you've heard of them before, and perhaps you haven't. I just want to give you a quick rundown. I'm not going to, talk about the entire 100 years of innovation here, but I'd like to highlight just a few things. So, Dr. Shaklee actually created the first multivitamin in North America in 1915. He did that. He was a chiropractor and a naturopath, and he could see that his clients were just not getting the amount of nutrients that they needed from their food. So he wanted to enhance their nutrient intake without having them increase their caloric intake beyond the amount that they actually would need or they could handle. So he found a way to take the essence of plants, the nutrients of the plants, put it into a form that was available to the cells. And I mean, this was just a really great invention. So he made the first multivitamin in North America so that all of us could benefit from the effects of taking more nutrients without increasing our calories. So that was a really neat thing that he invented. And that was in 1915. Then in 1960, he made the first green cleaner. And he just knew that we needed to be better stewards of the earth. But this was way before green was a thing. It was just, green was still just a color back then. So he made the first green cleaner. He made the first plant-based protein powder, again, because he could see the need for people to get better quality of protein, easy to digest, and we just weren't getting enough. He made the first phosphate-free laundry detergent. So this is a company with a lot of firsts, not fads. They're very science-driven. Everything that they do is beyond organic. They really, they're very careful to make sure that what they are doing that it's in harmony with nature, with the best of science, and they want to make sure that it is always contaminant-free, so that you can be guaranteed what is on the label that you see from Shaklee is on the label. You're going to get that delivered to your cells without any contaminants. And that's not something that is guaranteed in the natural health industry. So there's a lot of great things we talk about with Shaklee, but I just want to highlight those few main things right there. Now, where do you start? I mean, it can be very confusing, just like when you walk into a health food store and it's just shelves full of stuff. If you go to the Shaklee website, it's just a lot of information, or you look at the catalog. Where do you start? We always recommend starting with the foundation. So in the very beginning, you heard us talk about protein and your multiple vitamin, or the multiple vitamin strip called the Vitalizer. It's really wise to start there so your body has the raw materials it needs to actually make your healthier hormones and cells and glands, everything. So this one comes with an optional mini cleanse, just to help you shift how your body burns fat and how your body absorbs nutrients. It just shifts the health of your body, and then you continue on with your strip and a shake every single day. So the results are that the majority of people who do this program feel healthier, more energized, more focused. They feel like they can take things on a little bit better. So the option is that you can do that, the simple multiple vitamin or the multiple vitamin strip, which is a simple, convenient package with all of the nutrients that Shaklee has found the most valuable for health, for overall health. And they've actually been put together due to a landmark study, which is just a remarkable study. It studied the effects of people who took Shaklee products for 20 years or more compared to people who took other products or no products. And this is a study that was done by a third party. Shaklee had no say in this, the results of this. And it was published, it would have been published if the results were good or bad. But this landmark study was remarkable because they really took this big group of people and they said, okay, what are the differences if you take Shaklee or not? And they found a big difference with the Shaklee group, which is how that Vitalizer strip was formulated based on those results. So that's a really great strip to start with. But if you want a more personalized approach, then we just want to make you aware that this is also something that you can look at. Just ask the person that shared this with you, ask them to share with you a Meology link. And what you'll receive is a link to do a very in-depth online nutritional assessment, and it will give you a very precise, made-for-you nutritional program. So it's also a really great thing to look at. So keep your body humming. Make sure you're getting optimal protein. Make sure you're getting that multi, fill those nutrient gaps. Be complex, very important for your stress response, and take some throughout the day if you need to. Get enough sleep and exercise. Really watch your simple carb intake and make sure you're not taking any stimulants, and keep that stress relief in your purse or your briefcase or whatever, in your gym bag, whatever it is, whatever you're carrying, take that stress relief with you. So we are really passionate about bringing you home-based solutions for health, for your environment, and for your income from a Beyond Organic Wellness brand. If you're looking for home-based solutions to bring more health into your home or to help support your budget, whatever it is, we are here. We're a community here that's wanting to support you in that. So we want to offer you everything you need to live a cleaner, healthier life with a brand that you can really trust. We really believe that everyone has the right to thrive, to live a life of energy and meaning and purpose, and we mean that. Our goal is to help you thrive and not just survive. So we really are thrilled that you were willing to take the time to listen to all of this information, and I hope some of it resonated with you and that it will change something for you in your health and in your life. And again, just thank you so much for listening.